The Atlanta Braves do show some progress in the month of August, but not enough to erase too many concerns about the team going forward. We'll talk about that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. And if you're listening on the audio side, you can help out too. Just leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever it is you get your podcast. Locked On Braves available wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the month of August for the Atlanta Braves, where we saw them make some progress, especially on the offensive side. But was it enough to really erase many concerns going forward? We'll get into that and also talk about the series against the Philadelphia Phillies, which wasn't a great one, but it ended with a flash. Drake Baldwin's heroics, Hurston Walter and Chris Sale, both looking dominating. We'll talk about that and also set you up for the Cubs series happening this week, beginning with the holiday on Monday afternoon. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets and getting in on the action. Now, the Atlanta Braves in the month of August showed a little bit of hope, and especially I think early on in the month, there was definitely some hope that this Atlanta Braves team, especially offensively, had maybe figured some things out. We're turning a corner, and 16-13, it's just their second winning month of the year. So definitely, a sight for sore eyes. It had been a little bit, and I think at this point, I'd honestly forgotten that they had a winning month in April after the slow start they had, going 0-5 in March, 0-7 to start the year. And then having a winning April, getting to 500 in the month of May, but then really kind of falling off after that. And then just a terrible July with only 8 wins really killed the Braves season and any hopes of coming back. But a good month of August overall. Again, it was really looking strong until you had the series loss to the Mets, who are a good team. And then, you lose 3 out of 4 to the Phillies, who again are a good team. But it also just makes you wonder, were they beating up on some bad competition earlier in the month, which, again, I will take. They weren't doing that earlier in the year. So, those teams, probably are better, and they are better than the Braves right now. And so losing to those teams, losing series to those teams, not anything to really be too disappointed in. But the fact that they did take advantage and take care of some of those teams they should be beating, and they still won a series against the Mets in that, and against the Guardians, who were playing good ball at that time. So again, I think just record-wise, you look at it in a pretty good month for the Atlanta Braves, certainly a step in the right direction. They did have 5 more one-run losses. They're up to 31 on the year, but they also had 5 one-run wins. And look, if they just went 500 in one-run games this year, they'd be in a much different spot. So they go 5-5 in one-run games in the month of August, and that's a definite improvement from what we saw in the first half of the season, but still playing in a lot of close games. But again, earlier on in the month and through, really most of the month, they're able to win some of those because the offense were able to put an extra run or two on the board in the game to, either hold on or to put a team away. They were able to win some of those closer games. Now let's look at this month by the numbers. We're going to look at the team numbers first, and we'll look at it individually. And some of these numbers are halfway through the game on Sunday night, just full disclosure. Recording this through halfway through the game on Sunday night, or at least I put this together at that time. And for offensively, for the month of August, the Braves were 11th in batting average. Definite improvement. They're 19th on the season in batting average. So 11th for the month is a definite improvement. 11th in on-base percentage, though, is actually below their season number, where they're 10th in on-base percentage. So that went down just a bit, which is interesting because they still walked a fair amount. They were 6th in walks in the month of August. They're 3rd on the year. So walks did go down a little bit, but average went up a lot. So I would expect that on-base percentage, again, it's right around where they are on the season. But 11th in average, 11th in on-base percentage, 12th in OPS. They're 14th on the year. So again, that's an improvement. 12th in OPS, 14th in home runs. So still Not a ton, but better where they, again, have been on the year. 17th in strikeouts. Again, not great, but an improvement on their season total. 12th in stolen bases. A big improvement on their season number where they're 25th in stolen bases. We saw that Profar stealing some bags. Everybody kind of chipping in. Ozzie, Michael, Ronald chipping in. Matt Olson, I think, even had a stolen base in the month. So that's good to see, and obviously helps them generate more runs where they were 6th in runs scored in the month of August. A huge improvement over where they have been. So you look at the offensive numbers, again, 11th in average, 11th in on base, 12th in OPS. Strikeouts came down a little bit. Walks were still where they've been all season. Stolen bases were actually a thing. And we saw them, with the 6th most runs scored in the month of August. And you can look at that and put it all together and say it looked like a top 10 offense in the month. Again, at least I expected this team to be, top 5 offense, but you think about getting the pitching staff healthy and had this pitching staff been healthy, what kind of month it could have been with just a top 10 offense. I mean, if Chris Sale is healthy and Schwellenbach and Strider's back to himself, Waldrop the way that he's throwing, and you have a top 10 offense, I mean, this is one of the best teams in baseball once again. So it shows you how close they can be if they could start to get some of this production again. And like I said, I still think there's more. I still think they can be better than this. There's a potential for them to be better than this. And this was still pretty good. Top 10 offense that you could say for the month of August. Now, you still like to see those home runs come up. Again, just 14th in home runs. We'd love to see them get back into the top 10 and being one of the better slugging teams. It also just shows you kind of this Tim Hires offense, and that it is more of a on-base contact oriented. And I know that's kind of strange to say considering they've still struck out a lot, but they've walked a lot. And they've walked a lot, and it seems to have taken back the power, but it hasn't upped the batting average. And that's really been the missing element. There's other missing elements, the stolen bases, which again were actually a thing in the month of August. But you can't zap the power like this approach has seemingly done. You can't zap the power and not improve in other areas. And they've improved in walks and getting on base, but they didn't improve in batting average. But in the month of August, they did. Again, if you can be one of those teams that walks and gets on base, and you can also put the ball in play and hit for a higher average, you can be a top 5, top 10 offense with that type of approach, even if you're going to be middle of the pack in home runs. And I do think that makes you a more consistent offense. And then you throw in the speed element, and you can be top 15 in steals. You can see an offensive scheme and environment that works without the long ball. And I think we saw some of that in the month of August, and maybe a glimpse of what Tim Hires' offensive outlook could be if things are working the way that they're supposed to, where you're having that patient approach, you're working pitchers, you're getting on base, you're taking your walks, but then you're also getting the hits along with that, and you're getting the steals, and you're able to manufacture and score in different ways and not just be so reliant on the home run ball. You can see what this offense can potentially do. And again, I think that type of offense could be a more consistent offense, and an offense that can thrive in a postseason environment. So I think we saw steps in the right direction there. Still not quite where I want it to be. Again, 17th in strikeouts. If that's going to be your offensive approach, that number has to come down. That number has to be, at least top 15, if not top 10. So you've got to strike out less, but there was at least a glimpse of what it could all look like if it worked. On the pitching side, the Braves were 25th in ERA for the month. We knew pitching was going to be tough with all the injuries. 25th in WHIP, 29th in strikeouts, and they're 12th most strikeouts on the year. They were 29th in the month of August, 15th in walks, 26th in batting average against. We knew the pitching was going to be rough in this second half with all of the injuries, and it was. And it's kind of wild. The Braves had a winning month with that pitching staff, with the Cal Quantrells, with the Carlos Carrascos, the Eric Fetties of the world. The Braves still had a winning month. That kind of just shows you how good the offense was, that they were able to overcome that and have a winning month despite being a bottom 5 pitching staff in all of baseball. All right, next, I want to get into some of the individual performances from the month of August. We saw Profar, Michael Harris have some great months, Hurston Waldrop. We also saw some duds, Ozuna, even Acuña to a degree. We saw some lackluster performances in the month of August, especially on the pitching side like we talked about. We'll get into those numbers here next. Hey, Locked On Braves fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already need. At first, I thought it was too good to be true as well. You hear all these apps and all these things about earning free money, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. The NFL season is almost here, starting this Thursday night, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I think that's the most I've ever seen them give out for this promo. You got player props you're looking at. You can build a same-game parlay or even jump into the live action as it unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to those Sunday games. Also, please make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. Again, NFL season starting this weekend, had college last weekend. You can get in on that action at FanDuel. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet with a chance to win $300 in bonus bets. We also have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. You cannot tell them to give me less vacation time, though. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. And thank you so much for helping us out. And thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of today. I wanted to get into the individual numbers for the month of August with the Atlanta Braves. On the offensive side of things, Jurickson Profar, we talked a lot about Michael Harris and his big second half, but Profar had the better month. 306, 436, 620, 1056 OPS, 27 runs scored, 26 runs driven in, 5 doubles, 9 homers, 23 walks to 17 strikeouts, and 6 stolen bases. Huge month for Jurickson Profar. It was also a huge month for Michael Harris, who slashed 304, 316, 568, 881 with 6 doubles and 8 home runs, 23 runs batted in, 1 walk to 25 strikeouts. Still not great there, and why I'm still kind of hesitant to say that this is Michael Harris and that he's going to be fine. That, that patience, that plate discipline, that pitch recognition, still just not quite there for Michael Harris. And look, hasn't been, and he's been good in the past without that. And you do have the mechanical changes that when he does swing at pitches in the zone and make contact, it has certainly helped him make better contact. So I'm not completely dismissive of that. And there is some optimism about him going into 2026 because of it. But 1 walk to 25 strikeouts in the month, not a great ratio. 3 stolen bases to 2 caught stealing. Again, I say it all the time. He's got to be better at stealing bases. So not trying to completely pour cold water on Michael Harris in his big month. He did have a great month. He's had a great second half. But there's just still those those areas of improvement for him. And maybe it's just because I still think that highly of him. I almost said a kid. He is still a kid. He's 24 years old, but it's why I still think there's just so much untapped potential there for Michael Harris. If he could improve these things, improve the plate discipline, and improve as a base stealer, I think he can be an all-star level of player. Matt Olson kind of quietly, again, a really good month, 313, 386, 482, and 868 OPS. Didn't have the home runs and hasn't had the home runs this year, just 3 in the month, but 10 doubles in the month. Only 8 runs driven in, though. And he's a guy, you want him in there for the power. Now, he's been batting second a lot, and maybe that needs to change, but only 8 RBIs. And that's hard to think, too, with Profar, being on base so much, having a 436 on base, and Matt Olson only having 8 RBI on the month. 13 walks, 39 strikeouts, too many strikeouts for Matt Olson there, I think. Now you look on the downside for the month, Ozuna, 195. I did hit 5 home runs and still had a 326 on base, but 195 average. Nacho Alvarez, 250, 337, not bad. Certainly for a guy at the bottom of your lineup, but a 333 slug, a 670 OPS, 7 doubles is good. 8 walks to 25 strikeouts. And there certainly was some improvement for Nacho. I don't know what his ceiling is. And this might be it. And his ceiling might be a 670, 725 OPS type of guy. We've waited on the power to come for him for a while, and it just hasn't. And I think he is somebody that can hit, again, maybe at his ceiling, he hits to 265, 275, gets on base, 330, with a 700, 725 OPS, which is not terrible. But I just wonder if that's where he's capped right now for Nacho. Ozzy, we talked about him having a good month, a good second half, 265, 297. That's not great, but 425 slug, 722 OPS. So a fine month for Ozzy, certainly. 6 doubles, 4 homers, 5 walks to 15 strikeouts, and chipped in 3 steals. So again, not a bad month for Ozzy. Definitely an improvement over what we saw, but it's not like it was a Michael Harris kind of breakout month to overcome what he's done so far this season. Sean Murphy, 4 for his last 50, just 1 extra base hit. It's an awful month of August for Sean Murphy. And then Acuña, 245 average, certainly not what you expect. 340 slug, definitely not what you expect. Still got on nearly 39% of the time, almost 40% of the time, with a 725 OPS, but just 2 doubles and 1 home run, 11 walks and 15 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases. So did miss some time in that, obviously, and coming back from it, but just hasn't quite looked like Ronald the past week or so. And really, since coming back, he's had a couple of flashes here and there, but just hasn't looked like Ronald here lately. Hopefully that changes in September. We see that in the final month. And then Drake Baldwin. And again, these numbers are halfway through the game on Sunday, so they don't include his home run or his walk on Sunday Night Baseball. But 275, 341, 400, 741. Again, not awful numbers. 3 home runs. You can say 4 now with the home run on Sunday night. 8 walks with a 1 on Sunday to 9 strikeouts and 19 RBI. So, again, not a stellar month by any means, but certainly a good month from Drake Baldwin, and more good months, I think, than bad. What's really killed the Braves is that they've had these months where maybe one player has a great month, maybe 2 players have good months, but then everybody else is just flat awful. This was one of those months where, Profar was excellent, Michael Harris was excellent, Olsen was solid, and, Baldwin was good, not great. Acuña was okay. Ozzy was okay. Nacho was okay. And that's more of what you need. Not everybody can have a great month, but you just can't have these absolute duds. And part of the Braves' problem this year has just been that guys have had just awful months. And it's really, pulled it down where even if a guy was having a great month, they were doing it all by themselves. And here you did have everybody kind of contribute a little bit. Even Ozuna, who only hit 195, still had the 5 home runs. The only guy that just really was an absolute zero, obviously, Nick Allen, kind of what you expect, was Sean Murphy with a 4 for 50 in the month. So everybody else at least contributed to some degree. And again, not everybody had great months, but everybody at least was just solid and average. And that's kind of more what you need. Now, on the pitching side of things, not too many good numbers to look at here. Outside of Hurston Walter, who finished the month with a 1.01 ERA. Unfortunately, that ERA got up over 1 with that home run on Sunday night. 35 and 2/3 innings, only 25 hits allowed, 11 walks, 4 of them coming on Sunday Night Baseball, and 33 strikeouts. And that's including, obviously the Marlins game where he didn't strike out anybody. Still almost managed to strike out a batter an inning and had 9 of them on Sunday Night Baseball. So he was definitely the bright spot on the pitching side for the month, along with Raisel Iglesias, who had a 0.75 ERA. Again, that's not including Sunday night. So that these numbers are even better for the month of August. But a 0.75 ERA, 0.67 whip, and 12 games, 12 innings, no walks, 11 strikeouts, and 9 saves. And again, with Sunday night, you can improve that to 10 saves on the year. Still no walks in 13 games now. So just a fantastic month for Iggy, which might have bought him another year in Atlanta. We'll see what happens. And Tyler Kinley, a good month as well. And once again, this doesn't include Sunday night's performance, but a 0.84 ERA, 0.75 whip, 10 and 2/3 innings, 11 and 2/3 now, 4 hits, 4 walks, 11 strikeouts. He was really good on Sunday and has been great since coming over. Pierce Johnson didn't give up a lot of runs in the month of August, but 10 innings, 6 hits, 8 walks, only 1 earned run, and only 7 strikeouts in 10 innings. So again, the numbers are good. Didn't give up a lot of runs, but certainly a lot of traffic. Dylan Dodd, bit of a rough month for him. Or not Dylan Dodd, Dylan Lee, 11 and 1/3 innings, 13 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, and 6 earned runs. Dylan Dodd, it was a decent month for him. 8 innings, 5 hits, no walks, 10 strikeouts, 1 earned run. As I talked about on the postcast, though, and as we talked about on Sunday night, where he came in to face a couple of lefties, gave up a triple to Schwarber, and just barely missed giving up a home run to Bryce Harper. He's actually better against righties. So something to think about, and hopefully something that Brian Snicker takes a look at. Rough month for Daysville. One key thing to watch for this team the last month. We'll see if Daysville gets called back up with the extended rosters, but need him to have a strong finish. He needs to be a big piece of the bullpen. He has the stuff that, has the big arm, the stuff to be that setup reliever. Need to have him have a strong finish. The other starters, Elder at 482. I know his last couple starts have been good. He turned it around, but that's just how bad the beginning of the month was. Strider, obviously a really tough month, 32 hits and 18 and 2/3 innings. But his last start looked good. Hopefully he's going to build on that. Joey Wentz, 473, ERA, 1.39 whip in August, showing maybe he is just Joey Wentz. Eric Fetty, awful. A lot of other pitchers, awful. But the bullpen, like I said, your standouts on the pitching side, Waldrop, Iggy, Kinley, those were your 3 best pitchers in the month of August for the Atlanta Braves. So certainly some great stuff there on the offensive side, not so much on the pitching side, but kind of as we expected with the injuries. So I thought August was a step in the right direction, but still some concerns that I have both on the offensive side, which was better, and certainly on the pitching side. But again, a lot of that injury related. But let me know what you think. Was the month of August, a 16 and 13 record? You'll certainly take that. Did you see enough progress in the month of August to give you hope for next year, or are there still some major concerns about the offense specifically? Again, we know a lot of the issues there with the pitching were just the injuries and not much you could do about that. But specifically for the offense, did you see enough in August to really give you hope that this Tim Hires philosophy and kind of approach can work for this team going forward? Let me know what you think down below. Next, we'll get into what happened in this Phillies series, and we'll set you up for the Cubs series. We'll do the rest of that here next. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. And with football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. You can do that watching college football, watching NFL, even watching the final month of Major League Baseball. It's quick, it's easy, and the best part, even if one of your picks misses, Prize Picks invented the flex play, so you can still double your money. And as always, make sure you do so responsibly when playing these games. But download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Well, the Atlanta Braves dropped the 4-game set to the Phillies, but they do avoid the sweep with that great game on Sunday. You want to hear more about that one, make sure you go listen to the postcast of me and Lindsay. It's one of the most fun postcasts that I've done in this season. Just a lot of interesting things to talk about in that game on Sunday night. So make sure you go back and give it a listen. But on Thursday, the Braves offense, 4 runs on 6 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. You had the home run by Olsen, 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. You had that caught stealing in that first inning. And was actually traveling back in the Atlanta airport watching that first inning. And the Braves put up 3, feeling pretty good. And then luckily I walked out of there. Maybe this is my fault because I left, but walk out of there. And then the Phillies just put 5 up in the bottom of the first. But I say good I walked out of there because there's actually a Phillies fan in there watching the game, and Braves fans were getting on them in the top of the first, and I didn't really want to be there to see what happened in the bottom of the first. But the Phillies offense obviously comes back and just destroys the Braves in that one. Schwarber hitting 4 bombs. They scored 3 runs on 3 singles and 2 walks in that first inning, but just 3 hits and 1 walk the rest of the way. Of course, got to be a little bit deflating offensively when the Phillies answer back with 5, and they're up 12-3 after the 4th inning. But would have loved to have seen a little bit more fight from the offense. And then on Friday, just 1 run on 12 hits and 2 walks with 6 strikeouts, 3 doubles, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, but hit into 3 double plays. That's hard to do. 12 hits and 2 walks, and you only get 1 run. That looks more like the first half offense for the Atlanta Braves. And then on Saturday, not much better. 2 runs on 9 hits. Didn't walk in this one, though, and struck out 10 times. And 2 extra base hits, both doubles, so no home runs. 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and hit into 2 more double plays, both of them by Sean Murphy. And then on Sunday, you had 3 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, 1 home run. Obviously, the big one by Drake Baldwin, just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. So a bit of a rough 3-game stretch here for the offense that looked like it was turning a corner, but you are facing one of the better teams, and you're facing some really good pitching. I mean, Jesus Luzardo was locked in. He was dialed in, painting that fastball inside to righties on Sunday night. So certainly a tough task. I mean, Ranger Suarez has obviously always really gotten the Braves. They had 10 hits off of him, just, couldn't get any runs across. But the offense, a little bit sluggish here of these last 3 games. Hopefully they can turn it around. On the pitching side, Quantrill just got obliterated on Thursday. We don't talk much about that. A little surprised he's still on the roster, but maybe not for long. And then Elder, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts on 96 pitches, mostly just sinker, slider. And it feels like when Elder is good, that's all he's really throwing is the sinker and the slider. 10 whiffs, 21% CSW, 87.1 mile per hour average exit velocity. Maybe Elder's just in one of those groups at the moment. Chris Sale returns. He looks like the Cy Young version of Chris Sale. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts. Did give up the home run to Weston Wilson of all people. Just 78 pitches, 15 whips, a 38% CSW. Fastball was up to 97, averaging 95. He looked fantastic. Waldrop did as well on Sunday Night Baseball. 5 2/3, 4 hits, 4 walks, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts as well. He also, the 1 run just on a solo shot, first given up this year. 102 pitches, though. Had to work out of a bases loaded jam, 1 out, and had to face Schwarber and Harper. Was able to get both of them to strike out. Was surprised he went back out for the 6th after some stressful innings, being, a young pitcher, not wanting to really push him in a season that's lost. But, good experience for him going back out there and pushing it a little bit, going over that 100 pitch mark. 44 splitters, 13 whiffs on 25 swings, 30 cutters, just 2 whiffs on 15 swings, and that is what the home run came on. But just really spamming that splitter, and Phillies hitters couldn't do anything with it. Felt like he was able to command it a little bit better, throw it not necessarily left to right, but more so when he wanted to throw it up in the zone, he was able to. When he wanted to throw it down out of the zone, he was able to. And so that's big for Waldrop. And then the bullpen, Cox and Suero, pretty bad on Thursday in the blowout. Dylan Lee, rough outing on Thursday. Talked about the rough month and really rough second half it's been for Dylan Lee. You didn't bring Iggy back out for the 10th on Saturday. You end up blowing that game in the bottom of the 10th. But then you do use him on Sunday night to close things out. He looked really good and was just throwing singers and 4-seamers at the top of the zone. Kinley looked good on Sunday as well, as the Braves bullpen was solid and holding the Phillies and then not giving up the lead. And then only played defensively, really, that stuck out to me, at least on the good side. Matt Olson, He's had a couple of rough plays here lately, but a great double play on Saturday. You had the runner at third, which was Turner, fast runner, and you had Harper at the plate, and Harper hits a one-hopper to Olsen, who steps on the bag at first and throws a dart home to get Trey Turner for a nice double play. Now the Braves next will go to Chicago to face the Cubs, who got swept by the Giants earlier in the week and then won a series at Colorado. They're 6.5 back in the Central, but got a pretty firm grasp on a wild card spot. Right now they're in the top wild card spot. Their offense just 22nd in OPS since the All-Star break. Part of that, Kyle Tucker struggling a little bit. Also PCA after his great first half. A lot of people calling for him to be the MVP, just a 627 OPS since the All-Star break. And Seiya Suzuki just a 623 OPS. The pitching staff, though, 8th in ERA since the All-Star break. A lot of that because of Cade Horton, a Rookie of the Year candidate, battling there with Isaac Collins and Drake Baldwin. The Braves will see him in the third game of this series going up against Elder. And like I said, hopefully Elder's on a bit of a hot streak. Horton, since the All-Star break, 8 starts, 42 innings, just 24 hits allowed, 13 walks, only 4 earned runs and 38 strikeouts. In the first game of the series, though, Strider versus Colin Ray, 4.95 ERA and Ray's last 8 starts. And Strider, can he build on that last start? Made some changes, certainly looked more effective against the Marlins. Wasn't getting a ton of strikeouts with the Marlins. At least in that series, it looks like a team that just doesn't strike out a lot. But can Strider continue to build on that and those strides that he made against the Marlins? Does that continue against a Cubs offense that has somewhat been struggling in the second half, but still has some really good players? And then the middle game is Joey Wentz versus Shota Imanaga. Wentz, as we talked about earlier, not a great August after it was looking like maybe this was a guy that the Braves are going to find a spot in the rotation for next year, despite him being out of options. And a lot may depend on how he finishes this season, if that's going to be the case. Just some news: Drake Baldwin graduated, and all the things he's dealing with this year as a rookie player, trying to win an NL Rookie of the Year, catching, all of that. He also graduated college. We learned that on Sunday Night Baseball. And the Phillies signed Walker Buehler, and a lot of people thought maybe the Braves would pick him up, but makes sense that if he gets an opportunity with a team that's fighting for the postseason spot, that he would take that chance. So Walker Buehler signs with the Phillies. All right, that will do this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure that you follow us on social media at shortstopball, at @LockedOn_Braves on X. And it's another big moment here at Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, a former college star Jesse Hawley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. And that, again, we'll do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we will talk to you next.